The Fixed Liberty podcast is presented by the Fixed Liberty Project, where we explore the fundamental principles of liberty and morality upon which a free society stands and thrives. Learn more and sign up for our free weekly email newsletter at fixedliberty.com.
Hello and welcome to the Fixed Liberty Podcast. Today is February 18th, 2023. I'm your host, Ross Brown. Thank you again for joining me here on the show today. Well, as you already know, if you subscribe to my weekly email newsletter, which you should, by the way, if you don't yet, go to fixedliberty.com. You can sign up for free there. But as you already know, if you do subscribe, I spent the last week skiing with my family at Park City Mountain in Park City, Utah. We just got home last night and we had a great time out there, really delightful time. There was 6 of us total, being me and my wife, our 3 children, and my father joined us out there as well. Just had a great time of family connection and some good rest time as well. But of course, always really nice to get home. Glad to be back with you here on the show as well. Many aspects of the trip were great. The skiing in particular was really a lot of fun. 2 of my kids are still pretty little, so we spent most of our time on the green, easy runs. But we also explored a little bit of the blue intermediate runs as we were out there. I've been skiing since I was 5, and my wife also greatly enjoys the sport, so it's just a thrill for us to continue this family tradition now with our own kids. My father owns a condo unit at a place called the Grand Summit Resort at Park City Mountain, and that is located right at the base of the mountain itself, which is just awesome. We are so blessed to be able to go out there and use my father's condo unit. The condo itself is equipped with a full kitchen, so most days we skied down the mountain for lunch. It's nice to have a midday break in the comfort of our own space, and yes, it's a frugal way to feed a hungry family of 5. We did, however, enjoy lunch on the mountain at a place called the Red Pine Lodge on our last day of skiing. Located in the middle of the mountains, the setting of the lodge was beautiful. The sun was shining, the wind was calm, the temperature was just right. We sat outside and soaked in the experience. It was so nice that I almost didn't notice the lodge's $70 price tag for 2 plates of chicken tenders and fries, 2 sodas, and 2 hot chocolates. Now, mind you, in full disclosure, we did purchase a season pass for the mountain this year, so I received 20% off of those list prices. But yeah, $70 list price for that lunch just described. But don't get me wrong, I am not complaining. My family and I genuinely enjoyed our shareable lunch, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. But the price does beg the question, why was our lunch on the mountain so expensive? There are 2 contributing factors. First is the factor of business viability. As a fundamental principle, we know that investments chase returns. For a business to be viable in any location, it must yield positive returns to its investors. If the business fails to yield positive returns, its investors will, in the long run, take their investment dollars elsewhere to realize returns. In simplest terms, positive returns are yielded to investors when a business's revenue exceeds its costs. Now, I want you to picture a restaurant in your mind. Picture the restaurant sitting in a city or in a town, and then picture that same restaurant sitting in the middle of a mountain. In general, we can reasonably expect that the cost of doing business is going to be more expensive on a mountain than in a city. Why is that? Well, let's think about it. Food is costlier in that mountain setting because it has to be transported up the mountain. Wages to attract workers to the inconvenient location known as the mountain must surely be higher. And initial building construction costs and ongoing building maintenance costs are surely more expensive on the mountain than they are in the city or in the town. Business viability dictates that every aspect of cost associated with the expensive mountain business model must be passed on to consumers. If revenues fail to exceed costs and thus fail to yield positive returns, investors will reallocate their investments and the business will simply cease to exist. Therefore, in the first part, my family's $19.75 plate of 4 chicken tenders and a scoop of fries was expensive to purchase because it was expensive to produce. And we as consumers are naturally obliged to more than offset every expense incurred by a business to produce the goods and services we obtain through our purchase. But how much more must our more than offset be? This question presents the second factor of my family's expensive lunch. There is naturally a lack of marketplace competition on the mountain. So surely a fat profit margin was applied to my family's lunch at the mountain lodge because businesses can and do increase their profit margins when marketplace competition is weak. Therefore, in the second part, my family's lunch was expensive because marketplace competition on the mountain was non-existent. This all makes for a really nice economic story, at least for econ geeks like me, but it also offers lessons for our everyday experience. Our economic standards of living are determined by our experiences as consumers. When goods and services are inexpensive and abundantly available, our standards of living increase. When goods and services are expensive and in short supply, our standards of living decrease. We thus rightfully conclude that government projects and public policies which, 1, decrease the costs of doing business, and 2, foster marketplace competition, tend to increase our economic standards of living. When government builds and maintains fundamental infrastructure such as roads, water utilities, the electricity grid, and so on, the costs of doing business decrease. And when public policies foster domestic and international free trade, expensive tariffs, which are naturally and necessarily paid for by consumers, fall away. What results is increased marketplace competition. And consumers, which is to say every single one of us, benefit as a result. As valuable products and services become less expensive in the marketplace, consumers retain more of their money to give, save, and spend as they desire. The resulting increase in their economic standards of living affords them great luxuries, like annual family skiing vacations in Park City, Utah, and even the occasional $70 mountain lodge lunch. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Fixed Liberty Podcast. I'll see you next time.